Okay, well, hi everyone. My name is Matt Sullivan. I am presenting for the Snapshot Climate Portal for the Net Zero Challenge. So initially, I'd like to make an acknowledgement of country for elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nations people. So the Snapshot Community Climate Tool is a web portal that presents information about carbon emissions for cities that is compliant with international standards. It was developed in conjunction between Ironbark Sustainability, my consulting firm, and Beyond Zero Emissions, a leading national non-for-profit tackling carbon emissions mitigation. This is an example of the web portal. This is a regional city in Australia, and some of the data they would see is just a fairly visual breakdown of the type of emissions that occurs in that municipality of all the key emission sectors, and presents a lot of supporting data as well. It also has connected to this website all of the supporting methods and data sources that is used to ensure maximum transparency and repeatability of the analytical processes. We utilize the leading international standards for the determination of emissions to ensure maximum intercompatibility, using like the GPC standards and other IPCC data sources. We also collaborate closely with key data providers, including Google and energy distributors, to improve granularity of the data provision. Ultimately, the impact of this is faster and better decisions. We developed this tool because getting information about municipal data was one of the key barriers for engagement of stakeholders, both communities and cities. And this tool enables them to move on to action, taking genuine steps for reducing emissions. It also improves collaboration, and it increases the number of participants engaged in mitigation actions. And we see this in our user feedback. We've been operating a version of this web portal for around 2 years now, and we've got extensive feedback indicating this has really transformed community groups all across Australia in their abilities to deliver change. So we've rolled out the tool all across Australia to 540 local government areas, which is everyone. And we also designed this tool very fundamentally to be scalable, so that we are interested in exploring applications and working internationally to try and bring some of the benefits that we've seen to other countries. Our next 6 months, we're going to focus on increasing the granularity of the regional areas, so electorates and state level data, to make CSV data downloads more accessible, increase the types of information available, such as utility costs and jobs data, and improve data visualization. Longer term, we have strategic goals of integrating science-derived targets into the tool, improving spatial data, but also making concrete steps towards empirical evaluation of interventions being pursued by these entities, so that we can move towards better practice nationally and globally. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. That was great. I wonder if we have any questions for Matt.
So, James, I'm looking, I can't see, there's no questions, I don't think, from the panel of experts. If anyone has got a question, if you want to put it in the chat field now, then we can put that to Matt in the next couple of minutes.
Cool. Could I just unmute myself and ask the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that presentation, Matt. Can you chat a little bit more about whether, it's again very impressive that you've already got adoption in 540 local governments. Can you chat a little bit about across those 540 cases, where have you seen the greatest resistance to adoption, and where it was difficult to convince a government to use, and whether or not you've thought about those issues as you're thinking about scaling internationally?
Sure, that's a great question. So the main resistance has been in instances of where, say, cities or municipalities prepared alternate profiles, or got alternate methods for developing the inventories. What we found is that there's, of the 540 municipalities, a very small handful have actually decided against utilizing our standardized methods of determining the emissions. And we actually have a facility to make their alternate data sets available through our portal. Where that's got to is that although they have taken that step, for all of them except for one city so far, they've actually for the next year's update, they're actually going to move to our model because of the ease of doing it, the zero cost of it doing it, and the fact that it becomes compatible with their neighbors, and also that it has baked into it the metrics associated with monitoring and evaluation that we are rolling out. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Great. I'm just looking around. Do any of the other panel of experts have any questions that they want to put to Matt?
Yeah, can I just ask, Stephen, it's Eleanor. Thanks for that, Matt. Can I just ask, have you got any examples of, you didn't have time in 3 minutes, I appreciate it, which is why I'm asking, but have you got any examples of how the portal has led to an end result and impacted on the climate change, and whether there's an action that's gone through and actually you can directly link it to the information on your portal?
Well, that is a great question. So I actually find that the link between carbon emissions inventories and genuine emissions reducing action to be tenuous. So like it's not entirely like, there's not like a robust relationship generally established. What I can say is that it has mobilized many more stakeholders to participate in this process, and it has enabled them to work regionally. So we've seen a substantive move towards regional types approaches being employed, and that is generally the types of conversations we're engaged with these days. The question that you're asking, fundamentally, it drills down to something that is, it's kind of what I'm really trying to do. So like this inventory stuff is kind of like a gateway. So to be able to understand what constitutes effective intervention, you need to be able to perform realistic evaluation of initiatives. And generally with cities, this is very problematic because they are so sophisticated and they're so complex, and you can't essentially run like isolated tests in them. And to resolve that, you need to have a lot of cities testing under the same sort of circumstances to be able to get some sort of idea about what's attributable to your interventions. That's one of the key reasons why it's so important for me to have all of the cities talking to the same language when they develop their inventories. And like when I say that we're connecting to the monitoring evaluation framework, that's what I mean. I mean like that they're all utilizing the same data and methods, which means when we see a variance that we can correct for cohort group matching, that means we can much more confidently attribute it to the actual effect of an intervention, rather than simply the many other factors that would be more plausible under alternate strategies, such as just simply subtle variations in methods or chosen conversion coefficients and things. So it's a complex question to answer, but like ultimately we are far further down the road of being able to genuinely say we are driving effective change at the city level.
Thanks,
Great,
Matt.
thank you, Matt.
We have 2 minutes before we have to move to the next pitch.
I actually have a question in writing here.
Yeah, there's a question from Robbie Morrison that's been put on the chat. Is that the one you're talking about, Matt?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So for everyone who can see, it says, can you comment on how much the material is under statutory reporting, meaning that this is a legal requirement?
There is no legal requirement in Australia to report emissions at the municipal level, so 0. But some of the data sets that we utilize for preparing these profiles is subject to, well, only a small proportion is legal requirements, but a number of them are done through state or national level mechanisms.
Okay, fantastic. I don't think there's any more questions, so we're. Oh, well, there is one more question.
Can you explain major missing data gaps?
Yeah.
So as in, like ones that you saw on the screen just now, or just in general? Like, is it?
Yeah, areas. Areas that you think are priorities for you to expand into or get better information on.
Absolutely, I can be at it all day. There's lots of ways that we can improve granularity. One of the main areas that I want to make a focus is in land use emissions. because I feel that they are somewhat underrepresented in the way that the data sets we can access represent those types of emissions. There's also, in stationary energy, we are making some major moves to work with some state level data aggregators to be able to get better.
Just to say, you have to finish up now.
Oh, wrap up? Okay. Well, yes, there are gaps and we work very heavily on them.